Hey, what's up, everybody? This is XRP Part 3. Today is Sunday, which means the weekly close is what is important. And what we're going to get today is a close above all of these closes over here, which is going to be a beautiful breakout in my opinion. Now we're also going to close, hopefully we can close, we still got I don't know, almost about 6 hours, probably about 5 hours by the time you watch this video. um I think we can close above these. What I'm looking for is, can we close above these candles right over here? And as a special bonus, that would be even cooler if we can close above these over here. And I'm not worried about this one. If we can close above all of these three, we can close above this one because it's not that strong. We only have one candle close there. It was an event day, right? Versus these candles over here, you have a whole bunch of them there, whole bunch of them over here, whole bunch of them over here, and you just have one there, right? So it's not really significant. So what's really significant though is we're continuing to break above this downward resistance line. There you go. You can see that right there. So the weekly close is not only going to close above these the 60-cent order block in here, this weekly order block, but also breaking above the downward resistance line, which is also very important. So anyways, I got some of your comments, and I'll try to answer them in this video here. But basically what we see at the moment is XRP continuing to push higher, right? So if we just draw a little bit of a line right here, you can see obviously we have this inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? So if we take a line, a measured move, we can kind of get an idea of where this wave is going. So if I put that right about there, that should be about 71, 72 cents or so. So right in that area should be a good little area for the price to start taking a breath. Now, in between the subwaves, it's going to have some some pullbacks and things like that. For example, when I zoom in to the smaller time frame, right? The first thing I notice is we have this massive impulse, right? This wave one, right? This is the 10-minute chart, so that's a pretty nice wave, especially for a wave one. We have an A, B, C, right, for a wave two, and now we just went all the way up, potentially a wave three, and now let's pull back here a little bit to a wave four, and then let's go on up and reach a wave five, and then later on get the A, B, C, and then go higher. You know what I mean? So probably not that big, but I'll talk more about that soon enough. But what I really want to explain here is this. So yesterday we were right somewhere in here. And then after the video, we came all the way down and we back tested this area. So that would have been a good spot to buy right there on that back test zone. Unfortunately, I wasn't looking at the chart during that time, but if you were, that was the moment to get in. And let me show you what I mean. So if we zoom in on this, look, this is a good learning experience right here. Look at this. So we had 5 waves to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that 5th wave broke us out. We came down, we back tested, right? But the problem after that back test is we only went up in 3 waves. It was a 3-wave-ish move. So I look at that as an A wave. This is a B wave. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for wave C. And that's the wave you really need to look for is wave C, right? So, and inside of wave C, you saw the 5th wave here was a diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a 5th wave diagonal that back tested, right, our breakout area from this peak over here, right? So and then we started going higher, right? We started bouncing up. So that would have been sort of a little area to take a stab at some DCA. And then from there, obviously, you saw what happened after that. So all of this price action following those two videos I put out yesterday, this is all brand new, right? For the best. As far as buying the breakout, I got a couple questions about that. I mean, the thing is about buying the breakout, it kind of depends, because you don't want to buy a fifth wave breakout, right? Not necessarily, unless you have a specific target in mind, right? But if you're buying a wave 2 breakout, expecting it to go into wave 3, so let's say we go up in wave 1 and then we pull back in wave 2, and we sort of make a little bit of a range in here, right? Like this, and then we start to break out. Yeah, that's okay, because you're expecting a third, a fourth, and a fifth. But if we start playing around in the fourth wave here, and then you buy this breakout, well, you only have one more wave to go, and you don't really know how big that wave's going to be. And it could be an extended fifth, you can get lucky, or it can be a smaller fifth wave. So the more conservative approach, and if you're hodling, if you don't mind holding for several months, several years, then it doesn't matter. But if you're trading and things like that, it could be a little bit different. But to me, what would be a little bit more conservative is to, let's say this is a 5-wave move. I mean, this thing could go all the way up to $1. I mean, easily, right? You just don't know. But the thing is if we're anticipating a fifth wave, we have 1, 2, under normal circumstances, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let the fifth wave go, and then wait for the ABC pullback. So all of this would be a wave 1, and then you come down for a wave 2, right? You come down for a wave 2, get that 3-wave pullback, and then that would be a nice area to buy the dip. Now, that 3-wave pullback can be a lot higher, but from that point, you would at least have some more assurity that it's going to be worth your while. So, and I honestly think XRP is going to be one of the greatest out there. So, someone said, how come THETA isn't your biggest holding? Why is XRP? Well, I'll tell you right now. Apart from a couple other things, the main reason is, remember what I said yesterday, XRP did not go on a bull run in 2021. So you had Ethereum, Bitcoin, right? Matic, Solana, THETA. I mean, all of them went on a massive bull run, but XRP did not. It went into a retracement. That's the difference, right? Then all of those coins went into a bear market. XRP didn't go into a bear market. Why? Because it's been in a bear market the whole time. What did it do? Within the bear market, it went into reaccumulation, right? Which is the tail end of the bear market. And then we go sideways, right? Oscillating and reaccumulation, right? As all those coins I just mentioned, they start bottoming out, and now they start making a way for their retracement levels. So those coins are kind of like over here, right? They're starting to go in the retracement. So here's, as an investor, I look at this and I go, okay, I'm not going to be attached to any one coin, right? Because it's not about, a lot of it is technicals. A lot of it is fundamentals, right? But we're not going to see the fundamental value until we have utility. And we're not going to see utility until we have regulation. And we're not going to have regulation until we get Trump. That's just the way it's going to be, right? That's just the way it's going to be. So if I look at this whole entire... Oh, speaking of the devil, look at him. He's listening. Oh, no. I just got a notification on my phone. Okay, so... if we break out, right, of this accumulation range, then that tells me this 6+ year base that we've been in. I mean, look at this again. This is the biggest base in crypto history, right? So as we were bouncing in here, I had already, for example, let me go to Theta. Someone said, okay, how come, Theta isn't? Well, because look at Theta. It's not because I don't think Theta's, I'm not saying, it's bad, but I'm saying we went from 3 pennies all the way up to $16, almost $17. Okay? That's a huge bull run. So I had already sold off a lot of my Theta, right? I mean, that's a 45,000% move basically. So why, you know what I mean? And you could say, yeah, but we've already had a big crash down, almost 96% here. That's true. That is true. That is very true. And that's why Theta is my second biggest holding. So the thing is I don't know. See, I'm more confident in XRP breaking into a new all-time high, not because I think it's better, right? But because look at the base it created. It did everything necessary. And I'm not picking, for example, like Theta, right? It isn't a lot of, I put that in a category of cryptos, right? XRP is in its own category. There's no other chart out there that looks like it, right? That's why it's so intriguing to me. And so another comment was, being diversified in other assets. What's the point of being diversified in other assets when the chart looks identical? So there's nothing wrong with it per se, but I'm not going to have 10 different altcoins that look exactly like what Theta looks like, right? Or what Matic looks like, or what, you know what I mean? So it's okay to have a few of them, and I'm not knocking anybody who does, because I think no matter what, if I had 10 assets that looked like Theta, they're gonna do well. They're all gonna make a lot of money, right? So, but for me, I'm not about having 10, 20 different altcoins. For me, it's about having 3 or 4 very strong altcoins. And I don't want those particular, since it's a small number, right? Since it's only 3 or 4 heavy hitters, I want the charts to be a little bit different from each other. That way I can get a different result. You see what I mean? But all in all, you can't go wrong with any coin you hold, as long as it has that, uh, you know, the wave structure that it needs, right? Like, for example, this is one of the most beautiful charts out there, right? This is one of the biggest. I mean, look at this. This thing went from 3 pennies all the way up to, $16. That's a monster move, right? So for me, I think that move's going to continue. But the thing is we got to look at the phases of the market, right? So I go back to XRP, right? What do we have? We have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace, we go down into reaccumulation, and then we go sideways. Exactly what we did before. So all of this back over here, right? I mean, this is exactly what we did. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. That's the phases of usually how things go, right? And we're right at this end phase here. But for example, Theta is only going into a retracement, right? So yes, it can go a lot higher. But then once we get into those retracement levels, see, I think XRP is going to have a full-fledged breakout, a monster breakout, above its all-time high, going into full-blown expansion. Now, I think Theta can as well. But the only issue is Theta hasn't completely had a retracement yet. It's had a very shallow retracement. It hasn't had any sideways. I mean, look at the sideways action here, right? That's sort of what I'm looking for as an investor. Now, if Bitcoin gets that fifth wave and XRP breaks out, then and Theta's right here and Theta continues to break out, that's great. I will love that so very much. But if it had to go back down into reaccumulation and go sideways, for example, and remember, I'm just using Theta as an example, right? I'm as an example for a lot of the other altcoins that had the similar thing, right? Because most of the altcoins went into a major bull run in 2021. That's the key difference. XRP went sideways. It's basically XRP is the equivalent of Bitcoin being at $7, 8, $9,000. And you say that's fake news. I'll prove it to you in just a second. So if you look at Theta, we had a rise, we had a crash, we had a little bit of a retracement. So here's what I'll say: if it can go sideways for a little bit, that's going to take some time though, right? And it's not going to give me, to me a retracement is getting up here and then coming down and then going into reaccumulation and then breaking out. But that could take some time though. You know what I mean? So, or we can get really lucky and it can just break out and just smash through the all-time high like nobody's business. And I would be fine with that. I would be totally confined with that. It'd be great, right? But that's why something like Theta or any other altcoin is not my biggest holding, simply because they all went on a massive bull run back in 2021, which means XRP is a bull run behind. And XRP is the only one with regulatory clarity. XRP is in the top 10 despite a lawsuit, despite it being delisted from exchanges, despite it not going in a bull run. That shows incredible strength, right? And it's going sideways, which is very good for long-term sustainability because it's building a base, right? So when we break out, it's like a launch pad. When the rocket launches from that launch pad, right? And when, it's like the SpaceX rocket, how it comes right back down on the launch pad, right? It's going to have a lot of support versus these little peaks here. You got these little peaks, but I want to see a base in here, right? But here's the thing. These smaller market cap coins, they don't need such a big base, right? Because they're, for example, XRP is what, like $30+ billion market cap, and Theta is only 1.5 billion. So it doesn't need such a big base. It doesn't need, it's, when these smaller cap coins, they can have more oscillation or more peaks and valleys versus sideways base building, and they can blast off without any real support, right? I mean, because they're way more volatile, right? Theta is a way more volatile because it's a smaller market cap. It's like throwing a rock in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. You get a splash, but then you throw that same rock in a tiny little bathtub, you're going to get a big splash, right? I mean, it's all about context and perception, but at the end of the day, that's kind of, what's going on here. So, but the only thing I'll say in regards to the comment that I wanted to address is just be diversified. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can't go wrong with any coin as long as it, has a good looking chart and meets the fundamentals. And what I mean by that is, are they active on Twitter? Do they have constant developers, right? Go to the white paper, right? Go to their website, look at the people involved in that project. Then what you do is you look at their resumes, say, a specific individual is responsible for this. Okay, go to his resume, look at his background information. Where did he go to school? Who was he associated with? What was his prior business experience? I mean, there's a lot of extensive research you can do. And I've done that with a few coins out there. Not a lot, because it takes a lot of work, doing all that information. But I really like Ripple. I really like Theta. If you look at the board members of Ripple, I mean, they're pretty connected. They're pretty connected out there. So not only that, you have people like Brad Garlinghouse hanging out with, you know, some pretty powerful people. I mean, when I think of that, I think of this screenshot right here. I mean, look at, there's Brad Garlinghouse, and he's hanging out with the chief executive of Hong Kong Monetary Authority. He's hanging out with Christine Lagarde. He's hanging out with the chairman of the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority. He's hanging out with the director of the IMF. I mean, come on. I mean, that's like, if that doesn't show the absolute most professionalism in any, I mean, that's who I want my CEO hanging out with, right? Because that's how I know they're connected. And that's how I know there's most likely backdoor meetings, backdoor deals that we don't even know about. And that is why it is my belief. That's why XRP chart looks more different than any other chart out there on planet Earth. There's a lot of crypto assets that are very correlated. And yes, XRP is correlated as well. But as far as looking at the overall structure of the chart, it looks completely different, right? And it gets made fun of for that, right? People make fun of it. They say XRP is trash. It doesn't do anything. It's 50, 60 cents. But you got to look at the structure. You got to look at, if for like if Picasso is painting something and Picasso had a mask on and you didn't know it was him, you just thought it was some random homeless person painting, and you look at the painting and he's not finished yet. It looks like a piece of crap, but then you come back 2 hours later and you're like, whoa, that thing's a masterpiece. How did you do that, right? So that's kind of the thing that we have to wait for. We have to wait for it to complete. And I think that's happening very fast, and I'm going to show you why. But first, remember I said I would prove to you that Bitcoin or XRP is the equivalent of Bitcoin being at 8,000. Well, here we go. So look at this right here. So this XRP is still down here, right? It's still in this level down here, right? It had a rise, a crash, a retrace, reaccumulation. We're going sideways in here. So XRP is probably like right at $9,000, the equivalent of Bitcoin being at 9,000, right? So just again, you can see rise, crash, retrace, right? We're going sideways in here. This is where Bitcoin is. Remember, Bitcoin broke out in the 2021 bull run. XRP didn't. It's still down here. It's still below its $3.30 high. It's still below its $2 retracement high. So that is very, very intriguing to me as an investor, and that is why XRP is my biggest holding. One of the reasons. So if I just take everything off the screen real quick and I look at XRP, right? Remember where Bitcoin was, right? It's right in here during that $9,000 move, right? So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. What did Bitcoin do next? It went all the way up here. And then what did it do? It came and it crashed. And then what did it do? It had a retracement, and then it continued down, made a bottom, and now it's way up here. So Bitcoin is actually right here. So why would I own Bitcoin when Theta, or XRP and Theta for that matter, is way down here, right? Actually, Theta is right about here. Bitcoin's up here at these equal highs. So if you can snag altcoins down in here, right, I would definitely do it. But there's only one that's down here, right? I mean, you can say XLM too, and XLM and XRP are pretty correlated. They're probably the most correlated to each other. That's because they're primarily in the same, asset class. But what's good for XRP is good for XLM. And if there's a lot of XRP haters out there, then just get XLM. For me, there's nothing to hate. Like, if you hate a specific coin for whatever reason, then something's off. Now, if it's a scam, if it's, an S coin, quote unquote, whatever, then you can have reasons to disagree with it. But actually hating and really disliking a specific coin, it's just a waste of time. For me, I'm looking for opportunity. I'm not looking for excuses. For me, I'm looking for, I want to make money. I want to make money in this market. I'm not trying to pick out things that are wrong with the market. So, anyways, all right, let's keep going here. So we're sitting at 65 cents. We just talked about our target here being what, 71, 72 cents here. So again, we broke above this downward resistance line, right? You can see we have a head or a shoulder, we have a head, and then we have another shoulder here. So if we take that measured move, again, that's 70 something cents. And what I'm doing here is I want to sort of get an idea of how it's going to move, right? So to me, I can see a 1 and a 2. This to me looks like wave 3. So don't be surprised we get a bigger pullback here, a wave 4, something like that. And then what I want to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want to get up to that measured move. And if we can do that, that'll be a very, very good thing, because that'll show that, this pattern is valid, right? And that measured move is what it's doing. So it's not a fake rally, right? Now, if it was a fake rally, for XRP standards, it probably would have ended. Like, XRP likes to move very fast, and then it's over, and then it dumps fast. Like, for example, XRP's the biggest day XRP had was when Judge Torres came out and ruled XRP was not a security. And you can see what happened. We exploded massively, right? But then what happened was we instantly pulled back, had a retracement, and then just continued to go down, right? And it happened quick. It happened pretty quick. So, we don't want to see something like that. Obviously, it's going to take Bitcoin to break out. Now, speaking of Bitcoin, I'm going to jump back to XRP, but the real way XRP is going to showcase what it truly has is if Bitcoin can give the green light and go into that fifth wave expansion, right? So if you look at Bitcoin, we've officially broken out of this little range here, which it's not really significant. I mean, it's important, but here's the most important part. We've officially had a higher high, right? So we came down, we had a low, we had a high, we had a lower high, or I'm sorry, a higher low, and now we have a higher high, right? So we've broken that. Now the next order of business is to break above this swing high right around 6870K. So the issue with that, though, is you can see Bitcoin's been going up quite a bit here, right? So, I mean, there's a couple different ways you can count this wave, but eventually this wave is going to end. And when it ends, we're probably going to flag out. We're going to do an ABC, something like that, and then continue higher. Now, that could be at a higher price. Maybe we break out first, and then we flag out later on. So that's always the tricky part. It depends on what the count actually is, right? So it's a little bit of a crappy wave structure. It's a little bit challenging, but I'll give it my best shot. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 1. We pull back. That's a 2. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't think 5 is finished. I mean, I guess it could be if I look at the smaller time frames, but I don't think so. I think it should maybe get one more high. That would be a wave 3. Then we pull back, wave 4, and then we go up and get that wave 5, and then we have that bigger ABC flag out before higher prices, right? So we want to see a counter trend to this wave. So people who want to buy Bitcoin, right, chasing a move or chasing a wave that's consistently going up, it could be smart or it could be dangerous, depending how you look at it. But the conservative approach would be let the wave finish and then let it have an ABC, a flagging out correction, and then buy that, right? So the point what I'm trying to make is, let me go to the daily. It really comes down to two things with Bitcoin. And I've been talking about this since we've been in this correction. And it's really two ideas. First idea, right, for those who are new here, we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3, we have a 4, and now we're getting 5. Now, do you notice anything? The reason why I like this count is because if you look at wave 2 and you look at wave 4, they are in the same degree. That's important, right? So if wave 4 was 5 times as big as wave 2, I wouldn't like it. But it's actually the same size, right? If you measure from the top to the bottom, it's about 150 days. If you measure from the top to the bottom, I think it's about 147 days. So it's basically the same. It's perfect, right? Not only that, but if you look at the shape of Bitcoin's move, and this is very important for XRP because this is what it all depends on. If you look at the shape in which Bitcoin is creating, right? We're creating this sort of, I guess you could say, a broadening wedge or a bull flag or whatever. But the point is it's down sloping, right? And not only is it down sloping, but it's corrective. So we're oscillating down, back up, back down, back up, back down, right? And I've always thought that this could be an A, this is a B, a three-way B, and that's a C. Or we have a W, an X, and a Y here. I don't like it, and because we already broke this high. But essentially, you know, there was a possibility that this could be W, X, Y, and then go. And it's still technically a possibility. The probabilities are getting less and less. But what we really need to do is break that zone there. Once we break that zone, I think the floodgates are going to open and it's going to be interesting. So there's a few issues, though. First of all, we have the election coming up. So who knows what sort of deep state type of event we're going to get with that, right? I've always said, you know, be aware of black swan events, especially during turbulent times. For example, like a cyber attack, a stock market problem, like a financial problem. It could be, you know, Iran or the deep state or some military war involved. It could be another virus. I mean, there's a lot of things that they could try to initiate, you know, the fake news, right? They initiate it. Why? To scare the people, to make them stay home, to make them not vote, to make, you know, to put people in fear, right? So if we get something like that, the market it could be fragile and we could have a problem, which brings me to the second idea, which if this is not a fourth and a fifth wave, then what we have is simply a retracement that broke the high, right? So for example, what we have here is the same thing as what we had back over in the previous cycle, right? So we have a rise, a crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and then we went sideways, right? So maybe we go sideways down in here, right? Between 30 and 40, or between 30 and 47K. Now, do I think that's going to happen? It's not my first choice. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's certainly on the table for basically Bitcoin to go down into reaccumulation, go sideways here, then break out, right? So kind of that cup and handle area. Cup, handle, right? Cup, handle. So we could be developing some sort of handle here that gets us between that 30 and 47K area. Now, that sounds preposterous, right? We're at $65,000. How could you even possibly think of even mentioning 30,000? Well, I don't want to mention it. I don't think it's ideal. But what I'm saying is, remember C19. That was an event that took us down to backtest this area, right? So the thing is this area was never backtested. So what I'm saying is, could there be an event to bring us down to backtest that area? It's possible. Don't think it can't happen. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying, again, the election is coming up. The deep state is doing everything they can to try not to let him get elected. So who knows what they're going to try to do. That's all I'm saying about that. So hopefully that's not the case. But even if it is the case, let's say the worst of the worst happened, right? And we had to come all the way down into reaccumulation. We go sideways, then we break out later. Well, if that's the case, then think about how many more paychecks you're going to make at your job. Think about how much more crypto you're going to buy. And think about how much it's going to be worth it when you sell, right? So you think you got a big bag now. Well, if we went down into reaccumulation, you can literally double your bag, maybe, depending, right, on your circumstance. So you can have, you think you have a big stack, right? Imagine coming down here. Yes, it would suck. Yes, it would be painful. Yes, it would take a lot longer. But you know what? We're playing in a game that we can't control, right? So we're basically passengers on this ride. So once that roller coaster goes, you can't say, hey, let me off of this thing. No, you're strapped in, you're ready to go. That's it, right? So at the end of the day, where else are we going to be? There's no other rides that are open, right? This is the only ride that's open, unless you want to jump on the stock market and get 1% every couple days. I'm looking for like 20-30% in a single day, right? So I think those days are coming. We just have to be patient. Remember, crypto moves very fast. It's the most volatile asset class in the world. It moves way faster than the stock market. That's why it's so appealing. So the time, if we had to go down here, it's going to take a while. It might only take a little bit, but the time is going to pass regardless. So you might as well be in the asset class. Now, as far as I had a couple comments about targets and how you would sell XRP and all that stuff, and I'm gonna talk about that as well. So also, just by the way, I'm gonna put a members video out sometime this week. So if you're a member, you can go ahead and watch it. If you're not, you can click join where the subscribe button is, and you can become a member. It's a few bucks a month. It's no big deal. If you like it, great. If you don't, just try it out. But basically what I do in the members videos is I kind of go in a little bit more detail on the strategy of how I would play this move coming up. For example, if I believe we're going to go higher, then I'm going to be holding, right? But if we have to go down into reaccumulation, I don't want to be holding such a heavy stack and holding all of that on the way down. Now, my hodl position, I don't mind hodling, and it's okay. But for me, but for a lot of people, and specifically for my trades and things like that, I don't want to be holding all the way that. So how do I know it's going to do that? Well, there's a lot of things to look for. Like for example, breaking below, 55K and below that, coming back up, retesting it as resistance, right? That would be an indication of going down. So there's a lot of different ways that could happen, but essentially we want to get out before that big move to the downside happens. Now, there's a lot of different ways. Like I said, you can play it, but it's basically we're reacting to what the wave structure is giving us. So I'll be talking about that soon enough. And then on the contrary, I will also be talking about how to play the upside move as well. So look out for that. So anyway, let's go to XRP here. And by the way, real quick, with the price of Theta, I'm extremely bullish on Theta. Don't get me wrong. I am extremely bullish. Why? Because Theta, first of all, I started making videos in October of last year. So that was right here at 64 cents. Right? And that video and every video after that, I basically said I'm looking for Theta to come up into a retracement. Now, I thought it can get a little bit higher, at least about $5 or $6, but we got up to about almost $4, which is it's pretty decent, right? So from here, right, we're going down and we're back testing, and not just Theta, but a lot of other coins, right? So we had this Wyckoff structure, we broke out and we came down and we're back testing the top of this major resistance area that now we're flipping to support. And what's also cool is that we're building a base on top of this support, which is basically initiating a launch pad for what's to come later on. So, and I think that's going to be very well worth it, you know, because again, Theta is at $1.50. The all-time high was what, $15-16. So that's still a long ways away. Just to get back to the all-time high in itself is almost what, an 8x or so. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. But another thing that's also bullish is the total 3. Now this is the chart we got to be paying attention to, because this is the entire altcoin market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what we can see with total 3 is a break above this bull flag. Now, just because it broke above it doesn't mean it's going to continue higher. It totally could, and I hope it does. But the thing is we're running right into some resistance in here. And I'm going to jump back to XRP in a moment. I'm going to talk about targets and things like that. But we got to get Bitcoin out of the way. We got to get total 3 out of the way, just so we have you know, like some context here of what to expect potentially with XRP. So we broke above this area and now we're getting smacked in here. So what I'm thinking is we're going to get some consolidation in here, right? Yes, we could break out and we can go to the next level. And if we do, hey, I'll be very happy. But, you know, this thing's, let's see, let's look at the RSI. Yeah, RSI looks good. The thing is, you know, we should treat it as resistance, right? Because we sliced through this resistance and now we're at this resistance. So we have to act like, hey, this thing's potentially going to stall out here for a little bit and go sideways. So what that could be is, if I zoom in, let's say to the 12-hour chart, let's say we pop the high a little bit more, right? Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And then we have an A, B, C, right? And we start kind of going sideways a little bit and then continue higher. And you can see this down sloping trend line, right? So we could actually come down and back test the top of it before going higher. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying be aware of that possibility. And that's where I would deploy the capital. I wouldn't deploy it chasing up, right? I mean, you could be lucky, but for me, I'm a little bit more conservative. So I want to wait for something like that if we get it. If we don't, then hey, my bags are packed. I'm ready to go. Let's go. So once we get back to the all-time high, well, first of all, it's all about the retracement levels, right? So we're currently right at the 618. So that's a major area, right? So we're right in that golden zone between the 50 and the 618. Let me make sure this is not on log scale. It is on log scale. Okay, so my bad. So we haven't made it to the 618 yet. Because I was like, wait a minute, we can't be on 618 by now because it's a little bit weird. So yeah, we're on linear scale. This is the conservative approach. This is where we're really at. So we're right smack in the middle of the golden zone. So that's actually good. That means we have some wiggle room to the upside, right? So what I'm thinking here is the price is going to gravitate back to the 618. That's where we're going, right? You can see we have a bullish engulfing 12-hour candle. Look at that 12-hour engulfing candle. So there's no reason why this thing cannot go here. So we're pretty close, right? And then the one above that is the 702. So these two lines here are the most significant between the 618 and the 702. That's what determines trend. So if we can break through that, then it's going to be a lot easier to get through those final ones, the 786 and the 886. Yeah, I'm looking for 618 and then probably a decent little ABC correction or even flagging out. So this wave, look at it as a flagpole, wait for the flag, and then go. So that's kind of how I would do it. So let's go back to XRP and let's look at some targets. So the first target, obviously, we talked about is that 71 cent in the short term area. And I think if, like I said, if total 3 can get to that 618, then I don't see why XRP can't get to 71. And the cool part about it is, again, it's Sunday, which means it's the weekly close, right? So the weekly candle, we want to obviously close above all of these closes, right? And then for total 3, you can see for total 3, we're getting this weekly close above these two closes that are above this close here. So that's important. So we've officially closed on a higher high. By the way, stick around till the end because I'm going to talk about XRP versus Bitcoin, one of the most important charts, in a moment. Okay, so now let's talk about some targets here in the short term. These are brand new targets, or some of them are, but the first target will be this one here. So trend-based extension. So we're going to go from the bottom here. We're going to go to the top. And then we're going to drag it all the way back down to that wave 2. So this is a trend-based extension. You're taking it from the height of wave 1 down to wave 2. And you can see where we just broke above the 786 here. So the first target obviously is a 1-to-1 extension, right, which would be that 70 cent area, which correlates with the inverse head and shoulders target we just looked at. But an extension move would be about that 1618. So between 81 and 87 cents would be a good area for a target, for a potential a wave 3. Now, sometimes wave 3s can get a little bit extended, and you don't want to be surprised. We can actually get to between the 2.272 and the 2618. So that comes in between $1 and $1.15. So if you want to kind of average it out a little bit, I would just say probably that 90 cent to $1 area, a little bit more on the conservative side. That would be a good target to have as far as short-term targets. But look, if you're like me, you're not going to sell XRP at 87 cents unless you're trading and in and out and stuff. But our core HODL position, I'm not going to even think about touching it until we're at least above $4, at least above $5, at least above the all-time high, right? I mean, come on. That's just the way it's going to be, right? So people want to talk about big targets, right? Well, here's the thing. I think those big targets are coming. The reason why is because of this structure right here. Now, a lot of people can't read what that structure is, but for me, it's very bullish. And the reason why it's bullish, and I talked about it yesterday, I'll say it again, is because we have a diagonal here. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see that right there. And then we have an A, we have a B, and we have a C. We have a gorgeous, look at that 3-wave move to the downside. So 5 up, 3 down, And then what came out of that? We had a big impulse. We came all the way down. We back tested it. And we had this other three-way move right in here. We flagged out, and now we're breaking out. And if you look at the whole thing, right, we're breaking out of this whole entire... We've been in this downtrend for over a year, right? Since Judge Torres said XRP was not a security, we've been going down, 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 down in a supply. This is the supply line. But look, this week is a historic week for the XRP community. Why? Because this is the first week in over a year that we're breaking above the supply line. That is extremely important. So, this thing's gonna surprise a lot of people. I just know it is. And then, obviously we have this downward resistance line. You can be conservative with the line. You can be, liberal with the line. If we are liberal with the line, we broke out a little while ago. But I like to be more conservative with it. And there we go. There's your break. So then what's the next line? What's the next line here? Downward resistance lines, right? And you shouldn't trade. You shouldn't base off of it. But breaking trend lines are subjective, and but they are meaningful in a lot of ways, specifically when you break them, because trend lines are meant to be broken. So if you look at this one here, and let me try to get very conservative with this. Let me go up to let's go to the 3-week chart, because I want to get it as much as I can. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this line and I'm connecting it with the first wick, and then I'm stopping. And you can see that's exactly where we're at, right? So this is the most conservative way I can draw this line. And if you look at it, we're right smack beneath it. So if I zoom in, let's go to the 4-hour chart. We're actually kind of above it, right? If I zoom in, look at that. We actually broke above it, and now we're holding it as support. So that's another massive, beautiful thing that we're witnessing. But I think even more important than that is horizontal resistance, which is right in here, right? That's the zone. This is like the zone that we're really going to get going here. So let's talk about other targets in just a moment. Well, first of all, let's look at this one here. So if I take a trend-based fib extension, by the way, if you guys can hit that like button, drop a comment, let me know what you think so far. I'd really appreciate that. We'll take it from the bottom of the wave to the top of the wave, all the way back down to the bottom of wave 2. Okay, so I haven't talked about this yet. So the 1-to-1 extension of this wave is actually $1.02, right? So that's the 1-to-1. Now that's a bare minimum target, right? That's the minimum that we're gonna get from this move, and I would imagine a lot higher than that. So the 1618 comes in at between $1.30 and $1.40. So that's what I'm looking for. Now here's the thing: if we can break, people say when moon. I'll tell you exactly when we're gonna moon. As soon as we break this area right here, between $1.30, $1.50. I mean, you can even say some of these wicks up in here at $1.60, but they're really not much support or resistance there. The real resistance is between 1 second here. $1, say $1.15, all the way up to about $1.50 or so. So right in that zone. So once we break that zone, I mean, we're gonna do something incredible. So we're still very early here for XRP, right? And remember, this is not financial advice. I could be wrong. XRP can go down, right? So I'll give you an example of a bearish move that could happen. I don't think it will, but it could. That this could be 3 down. This is 3 up. Obviously, we have 3 down, right? And that is a W, X, Y. That is a weird looking three-wave move, right? But if you were to say, no, that's not the way I would do it, you can say, okay, we have 3 down, right? We have 3 up, and this is 3 down like this. So 1, 2, 3. So the whole thing becomes 1, 2, 3. And we get way to the bottom of the range here, and then we go. So am I saying that's going to happen? No. Is it possible that could happen? Absolutely. Anything's possible, right? That's why we have to remain vigilant. We have to be cautious. We have to understand the risk. So just think about that for a second. If XRP came all the way back down to, 21 cents, people would flip out. They would be, it would be all over for the XRP community. But in reality, it would be the biggest heist in crypto history, because that would be a signature market maker move for the XRP community, because the XRP community is already upset. Their patience is running thin, right? I mean, they waited so long. Remember, XRP did not go on a bull run with Bitcoin, with Matic, with Solana, with Ethereum, with everybody else, right? So we're still, we haven't had a bull run in over 6 years, right? So can you imagine going all the way back down here, right? Why would they do that? Why on earth would they do that to us? I'll tell you why. Because if XRP is what they say it is, if it's going to be one of the greatest assets in mankind for financial purposes, then they don't want you owning it. They don't want me owning it. What do they want? They want to shake out what? The weak hands, right? So if we came down, right, let's say this is 3 down, this is 3 up, and then we had 3 back down, right? So 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. So let me just remove everything off the screen so we can see it nice and clear. And now, I don't talk about this scenario because there's no reason to talk about it yet, right? And I don't think this scenario is ever going to happen. But I'm just saying, if it did, right, what would be the count? It would be a WXY. We had 3 down, we have 3 up, and this whole thing would be 3 down. The problem, though, is it's too big. It's not, this is a little bit too big. So it's a little bit out of proportion. But essentially, that would be the idea. It would be a flat, right? So just imagine what the XRP community would go through if we came down to 17 cents again. They would totally flip out, right? I mean, they're already flipping out. So a lot of people would sell. A lot of people would lose everything. And, it would suck. But the thing is I'm not selling, right? If we got down to 17 cents, I would be upset that it happened, but I would also be extremely grateful. Why? Because what's the next move? We're going to the moon. I'm sorry. We're going to Mars after that, right? Because it would be so incredibly three-wave-ish at that point, because all we have is a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, and that's all you need. But if this turns into a W, X, and a Y, a 3-wave move like that, and then we go higher, that's going to be an incredible opportunity for people who never got to buy XRP, right? So, you can kind of see it happen over here ever so slightly, right? Where we had 1, 2, and then we came down 3. We got down to the bottom of the range here, right? The problem, though, is this range is too small, so it's a little bit difficult to gauge it. But yeah, and again, that's the bearish scenario, and the bearish scenario will ultimately lead to a mega bull run. So now, the only way I would talk about that scenario is if we break below this zone here, between that 47 cent area, right? If we break below 50 cents, 47 cents, 40 cents, that's when I'll say, okay, now Now the odds are increasing, but right now the odds are very small. So don't think, don't twist what I'm trying to say. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just letting you know that could be a possibility, especially during these uncertain times. But let's talk about this downward resistance line now. This is the most important downward resistance line in crypto right now, right here. So let me make sure that's not going through the body. Perfect. So that line, once we break this line, it could cause a chain reaction of things we haven't seen, because this is not just an ordinary line. This is a 6+ year line, guys. Remember Amazon. I always go back to Amazon. Brad Garlinghouse compares Amazon to Ripple. Amazon is to books as Ripple is to payments. Amazon started off doing books, and then they started doing other things. And look how successful they are. Brad Garlinghouse praises Amazon, talks about it all the time. That's what we are as a company, Ripple. Yes, we're going to start off doing payments, but then we're going to get to stablecoin. We're going to get at NFTs. We're going to talk about DeFi. And then even the bigger stuff, we're going to get into the derivative market. We're going to get into the bond market, right? I mean, things that we can't even comprehend could be useful for XRP. I mean, we don't really know what's going on behind those backdoor meetings, right? I mean, Brad Garlinghouse, his board members, I mean, we don't really know what they're saying behind closed doors. So we don't know the type of deals that are going on. But I can tell you, I don't have to know, because I could just look at the chart and I can kind of figure things out for myself, right? But anyways, yeah, Amazon took 10 years for it to break out into a new all-time high. Amazon had a bull run, had a bear market, it had a retracement, and then it went sideways, and then it broke out of its previous high 10 years later. So it had a top in 1999. It broke out in 2009. That's a long time, right? So if Amazon investors can wait 10 years, we can surely wait 6, maybe 7 years, right? So good, the best things are worth waiting for. So let's talk about some other targets here. So another way you can measure it, right? And someone kind of made a little snarky comment like, oh, like yesterday, and I don't mind it. I love comments. So if you want to say anything you want, I don't care. I love to hear the feedback. And the person was right, actually. And he said, oh, the comment, the targets between, I think they said like between $7 and $50. Yeah, that kind of narrows it down. Kind of like, ha ha ha, like what kind of target is that? Well, let me explain. This is the grand finale right here. And I love that comment, because without that comment, I could have never clarified, or not clarified, but explain what I'm talking about. So here's the thing, and this is a lesson. This is a lesson for all crypto holders. When you're dealing with targets above the all-time high, it's very difficult to gauge, except with Fibonacci retracement levels. There's different targets, right? So there's not just one target and that's it, right? So the person said, oh, it's between, $7 and $50. Well, no, there's targets in between. So target number 1, target number 2, target number 3, right? So if you want to know like a selling strategy on how to get out of XRP, then I would recommend checking out the members video. Now, if you don't like it, just try it out for a month and then cancel it, right? But that's what I would recommend. I'm going to go into that type of selling strategy on how I would play it. But right now, I'm going to give us a little bit of a basic understanding. So, for example, if, let's say XRP, like, how do we know it's going to be $10 or $20? That's a good question. So it all is based off the wave structure. So what I'm looking for, see, the thing is, you don't have to know the answer right now. We don't need the answer right now. You wait until the price tells you, and that's your answer, right? So for example, let's say this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2. And then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's wave 3. And then we come down into wave 4. And then we get wave 5. Right? And that whole thing becomes like a 1, 2, maybe we get a 1, 2. Right? So then what I would do, it all is dependent on the wave structure. Then what I would do is I would measure the bottom of this wave to the top of this wave, back down to the wave 2. And you see what I mean? That gives me a more accurate target. And look at that. The 618 comes in at $11.83 based off the way I drew it. But I need that wave structure. I don't have the wave structure yet. There's no price activity above the all-time high. See, I don't know. The problem with targets is you have to know what the wave structure is going to be. For example, like, look at this. Like, I'll give you a great example. Look at this. So XRP broke out here. So if I would have measured it from the top of here back down to the bottom, and I'm not going to exclude the wick. Look, we blasted right through all of those Fibonacci levels like it wasn't even there. We basically had a God candle. You know what that is, right? The God candle, like a massive OMG candle that just blew right through all of the retracement levels. So you can't gauge what that really is, right? So, you know, especially back in the day when the market cap is very, very small. But once we have a clear identifiable wave structure, for example, like let's say we got up here and I put a retracement level down here. Look at that. We blew again, we blew it right through. So what do we need? We need log scale, right? So then I would flip it to log. That's why there's a lot of targets, because you have linear scale and you have log scale. And how do you know which ones are going to be? Well, you first start with the smaller targets. Once we get through those targets, then you set your eyes on the higher ones, right? So if we take it and we put this on log scale, and I'm going to show us, you can see we made it to the third fib line here, right? So the way I would have played this is I would have took some profits at the 618, and then I would have continued to hold, and I would have probably took some more at the 618. And then we continued higher to the 3. I probably wouldn't have taken profits there, because I did not hold XRP back in 2018. I held Bitcoin. Believe it or not, I was a Bitcoin guy. I didn't care about all coins. I was Bitcoin, right? Because I was on Coinbase when Coinbase had Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. That's it. That's all they had. And what I did was I put most of it in Bitcoin, a little bit in Litecoin, a little bit in Ethereum. So, and then shortly after that, they had Bitcoin Cash come out. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But so how would I gauge these targets here? Well, again, it depends on how this is going to break out, right? So the most common thing would be a 5-wave move to the upside, right? So first of all, let me put the target on, or the fib levels, right? And this is in linear, or this is in log scale, right? So let me go down to linear. Okay, so these are the conservative targets, right? Well, first of all, we're not even to the 236 yet. XRP is so undervalued compared to the rest of the market. It's absolutely astonishing. And I'm going to show you a chart that proves that. And you can say, what chart is that? It's right here. Total 2 divided by XRP versus USD. Look at this chart. And I'm going to go back to the targets in a moment. Wait, that's not it. This is it right here. Okay, so this is the chart right here. Now you see that chart? Look at this thing. This thing is way... So what this means is the higher the price, the more overvalued the altcoins are compared to XRP, right? So if this thing goes down, that means XRP is gaining dominance, gaining value over the rest of the market, but you can see where it's at. We're basically at all-time highs. So that means we're at all-time lows. So let me just flip this upside down. And that way it makes it much more clear so we can understand here, right? So look how undervalued XRP is compared to the rest of the market. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 waves down. That is a completed crashing structure, right? And then you can see we just had an impulse to the upside, right? So I think the bottom is in. This was the best time to convert whatever you had into XRP, according to this chart, right? If this was the bottom here, which I think it is, right? So we had 7 waves down. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for a retracement, which means what? Which means XRP should gain in value over the rest of the market. So for example, if I take XRP and I compare it to Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin had a massive run in 2021, the biggest run it's ever had. But XRP didn't get to participate in that bull run, right? So that means it's undervalued in comparison to something like Dogecoin. That's why I don't own Dogecoin. Why would I put a penny into Dogecoin when I can have that penny into XRP knowing it's going to be much more valuable? I'll tell you why people do. Because they cannot conceive that XRP is going to do anything because it never has done anything, which means it's another reason that it's overdue. Right? Go back to Amazon. It took 10 years and then it happened and then it was too late. Right? So we have to position ourselves before the herd gets in. Right? Before your uncle, your cousin calls you up saying, hey, how do I buy XRP? No, you need to be in before that. Right? Not financial advice. Talking about my friend. Wink, wink. So that's that chart here. So let's go back and discuss some targets. Before I do that, real quick, this is the dominance chart. So XRP is only 1.6% of the whole market, right? I mean, that's a little tiny bit. I mean, it's still a lot better than the others, but what we have here is this, we're back down at these support levels, right? So when I look at charts like this, I look at it from a range. So when we get up here, XRP is overvalued. When we're down here, XRP is undervalued. We get up here, XRP is overvalued. But now look, we've been undervalued for so long that it's like a coiled spring. What do you think comes next? We're going to come back up to here, right? It's only a matter of time. Okay, so let's look at targets now. Now, this is the Binance chart, so it's going to be a little bit of a different target. It's actually going to be a better target. So the first thing when looking at targets, what I would do is the first target you always want to target is the 618, the 1618. Okay, so here's what I'll say about that. With the person, giving a little snarky comment. And I love it. I love the comment. I appreciate it. I really do. But it's kind of funny because you're saying, oh, it's going to be $7 all the way up to this crazy number. Well, here's the thing. The first target you always want to do is the 1618. Now, once we get there, there's a couple there's things you have to look for. For example, if we hit the 1618, are we in the middle of the third wave? Are we in the middle of a fifth wave? That is a big, big deal. Because if we, for example, let me just put, let's just say we go up to the 1618, right? And we had 1, 2, 3. Now this is a 1, 2, 3. Now we're in the third wave and we hit the 1618 at $5. Then I'm going to be expecting higher prices. Why? Because we're only in the third. That means we pull back for the fourth, and then we go up to the fifth, right? And then the fifth wave can get to the 2618. Now once we're in the 2618, are we in the fifth wave? Chances are we are. Okay, now where are we in the fifth wave? Are we in the first wave of the fifth? Are we in the third wave of the fifth? Are we in the fifth of the fifth? See, those are the things we have to look for, and those are the things we don't know. And that's why when people give targets, that price hasn't even broken out yet, chances are those targets, I mean, a lot of times they're right, but a lot of times they're not. I like to have super accurate targets. And the only way I can have a super accurate target is if I have the wave structure and the TD sequential, the bullish divergence, the bearish divergence, all of those things, the RSI, all of those things correlated into a nice package for me to have a better estimate of what that target's going to be, right? Because again, we're only at 65 cents, right? And we're talking about $10 targets. That's so far away, and that's fine, right? So again, a common target is the $5, the 1618, the 2618, and the 3.414 and the 4.236. I would say those are some of the most commons. You can even say the 2.272 as well. I mean, whatever floats your boat. But at the end of the day, the 618 targets are, to me, the most important, and the 236 targets as well. So that's kind of how I need to explain it, right? So yesterday, when I put this target on here, right, the 4.236 comes at $14. Now, for example, Dogecoin, I like to compare Dogecoin to XRP. So where's XRP in relation to Dogecoin? Guess what? XRP is way down here. That's where XRP is at. So why would I own Dogecoin? Look, here's a beautiful, I'll prove it to you right here. Look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is wave 4. Boom, we got wave 5. Okay, now watch this. Look at XRP. Watch this. What do you see? You see 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Here's wave 4. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's missing? What's missing? Wave 5. Just like with Dogecoin. 1, 2, 3. Here's XRP's in here, guys. Dogecoin's way up here. Why would I own Dogecoin? It doesn't make any sense. Yes, Dogecoin can go a lot higher. Yes, Elon can say he's integrating it into X and it can go crazy. But the thing is I don't really, I mean, it's fine to have a little bit, maybe a couple percent, 5%, maybe, some play money. But no, I'm not putting any serious cash in Dogecoin. Why? Because it had a 5-wave move. So what is it doing now? Well, it had a rise, it had a crash. Now at retracement, we probably go down into reaccumulation, then we go sideways, then we break out later on. But why would I do that when XRP is over here? So what I'm getting at here is the targets. Now let's look at the targets, guys. So we're going to take this target right here. By the way, let me put on XRP side by side here. Look at this. So there it is, side by side. And I don't want to put it on linear because then I won't be able to see the detail in the wave. But yeah, you can see XRP only in a retracement, Dogecoin flying to the upside. So let me take it off again. So let me put a retracement from the top of this wave. Now watch, this is a good lesson here. Look what Dogecoin did. It sliced through all of those retracement levels like it wasn't even there. So can XRP do that? Absolutely, it can do that. But the thing is we don't know what the wave structure is going to be like. So for example, this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We had a 5-wave move to the upside. So we got to wave 3 at and near the 4.236. That was wave 3, right? So once we got to the 4.236 at wave 3, I know in my head, well, wait a minute, we don't have a wave 4 and we don't have a wave 5. So we still need a wave 5, right? So what do I need to do? I need to take this and I need to flip it to log scale now, right? And now look where we went. So we landed right at the 2.272. So Dogecoin hit the 2.272. So that gave me an accurate target, right? And now how would I have gauged that target? Well, I could have used a trend-based extension from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 3 back to the bottom, right? Let's try that. So from the bottom here, I'm just giving you examples here. Look at that. We crushed through all of those levels. So I would flip that to log scale here. And look where we got. We perfectly hit the 618. Perfectly hit the 618. So that would have been a way you could have gauged it, right? So you could have actually called the top of Dogecoin. Now, I wasn't in Dogecoin. I wasn't, I wasn't as smart as I am now when it comes to charts back then. So maybe I wouldn't have done it that way. But that's how you look at it. But anyways, Dogecoin hit the 2.272. Okay, so let's go back to XRP, right? And we're going to do the same thing now. And I'm glad that person made that comment, because now I can deep dive into this. So let's put the retracement here. This is our wave 4. Now, where did XRP go to? Oh, that's right. It went to the 2.272. So where's the 2.272? It's at $200. Now, do I think XRP is going to hit $200? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's impossible. I'm just kidding. I don't think it's impossible. I mean, anything's possible, but I'm a chart guy. I'm a realist, and for the market cap would have to be an extraordinary amount. Now, the only way that would happen is if Ripple came out and shook the Federal Reserve's hand, saying, "Yeah, we're gonna do something with the Fed, or we're gonna do something with 10, 20 different central banks." Then maybe we can jump on board with that. But as far as retail and institutions, they're not going to push the price that high. I just don't think that's possible. But it might, right? So the reason Dogecoin hit the 2.272 is because the market cap was small. Now, since Dogecoin hit the 2.272, the equivalent of XRP hitting $200, right? Could it at least hit the 1618 at $23? Yes, absolutely. It can at least, right? If Dogecoin can hit the 2.272, why can't XRP hit the 1618? That's what I'm saying, guys. And where's the 1618? It's about $23, $25, depending on which exchange you look exchange. So let me try to put this right there. And let me put this right there. Yeah, so there we go. We got that $26 target there. So that is kind of how that's kind of a rough estimate. So if you want to know a rough estimate of where I'm thinking, well, first of all, target number 1 is going to be between $4 and $6. Target number 2 is going to be between $8 and $10. Target number 3 is going to be between that $10 and $13, $14 area. Target number 4, now we're flipping it to log scale. Now we're talking between $20 and $30. So that's why there's so many. So you can say, well, that doesn't really help us because there's so many numbers. How do we know which ones is going to be? Again, we have to look at the wave structure as it goes up. That's why this could happen within the next 3 months. That's why I recommend becoming a member, because we're going to be going, as this breaks out, if it breaks out, we're going to be going through the wave structure here, and we're going to be looking at the pullbacks. We're going to be looking at the extensions. We're going to get a very fine-tuned target that we can all sort of say, okay, that makes sense. Because right now, it's kind of a shot in the dark. We're only using fib levels, right? But I like to use more than fib levels. I like to use wave structure. The more confluence I can get into a specific target, the better and the more confident I'm going to feel about selling my XRP. Because you think buying is hard, selling is way harder. To hit that, to sell XRP, when XRP's flying $6, $7, it's going to be very hard to sell, because you're not going to want that feeling, that dopamine rush to go away, even though that's what we got to do, right? But some people say, you know what, I'm not selling until we get at least $50. That's perfectly fine. I'm not selling until we get at least $25. That's perfectly fine. Or I'm not selling until we hit at least $10, right? That's perfectly fine. So as far as, an exit strategy goes, that's the exit strategy right there. Exactly what I said. Doing the work, right? And we can't do the work now because we don't have the wave structure to analyze, to really fine tune a target. So if you want an exit strategy, just hit subscribe, hit the like button, let me know you're serious, and we'll keep monitoring the situation. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. It's gotten a little bit too long. Hopefully you guys are here still and I didn't put you to sleep. It's an hour and a half video. I mean, it's a little bit, you know, I always say my videos are long because it's educational. A lot of it is, I mean, most of it is my opinion. But to sit here and talk for an hour and a half straight about one coin or a couple of them is, you know, it's easy if you know what you're doing and if you know what you're talking about. So to me, more information is better than less. But at the end of the day, you know, people have busy schedules. They don't have an hour and a half to watch a XRP video of some random person who only has a couple thousand subscribers. Like, who are you? Right? And I look, I totally get it. I totally get it. And, you know, I'm working into a way to sort of be considerate of people's time and to, you know, try to get the information out as fast as I can in a way where it makes sense, where it's not too long. But in this case, when I'm doing presentations, it takes longer. Like, this is an XRP presentation. This is part 3 of our presentation of the outlook, the macro outlook. So it deserves that time. Now, for doing a quick price update, that's kind of what I'm nailing for. So anyways, let's jump to the small time frames one more time and see if we can see anything here. Let me go to, oh, that's right, we were going to look at XRP versus Bitcoin here. You know what, I'm going to save this for probably part 4. But essentially, what we have here, guys, is a beautiful move. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your wave 1. And then we have a W, X, and Y. Boom, boom, boom for wave 2. That's your wave 2. And now this is wave 1 of wave 3. So we should get up here, maybe flag out a little bit, and then hopefully get that big wave 3, 4, and 5. And that will be our wave 3. And then we would pull back for wave 4 and then go up for that macro wave 5, or that otherwise that primary wave 5. So let's look out for that. As far as the smaller time frames go on XRP, let's see. The TD sequential, we're still only on a 4, so it flipped yesterday. It didn't give us a solid 9. So on the 8-hour chart, we're on a 6. Okay, that's decent. So what I would say is always be aware of a back test on the bigger time frames, right? Yes, I know we already back tested, we wicked below. But as long as we hold above this zone, that yellow zone right there, we are very bullish, right? So if we have to pull back all the way back down to 60 cents, it's still very bullish, right? Now, if we impulse down there, it's not going to be that bullish, but what we want to see is a nice 3-wave move like that and hit the high. I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or this whole thing is wave 1. This is wave 2. And now we're in wave 3. And then we get wave 4. And then later on we get wave 5. Right? And I'll talk about that probably tomorrow. So that's our big impulse, right? And then also, the weekly chart. Remember the weekly chart, we need to close above these 2 levels. And that would be nice to close above this level here. So watch this right here. Let me take everything off the screen. I'm going to put 3 lines. So line number 1 is a must. I really want to see us break above that. We have to break above that. We got 4 hours left. Line number 2 would be very, very good to break above as well. And then we have line number 3, which we're not there yet, right? Which comes in at 66 cents. So let me just put this right here. So if in 4 hours, if we can close above 66 cents, that'll be incredible. That would be incredible. But if we can't do it and we can close above 63 cents, that'll still be very, very good. But either way, I think it's going to be nice. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, this thing is breaking out of the downward resistance line of this 1 year long flag. We've been flagging out for a whole year, and we officially this week, this first week, how many weeks are in a year? Was it 53, 56, or 52, or I can't remember, but that's a lot of weeks, right? And this specific week is the week that we're breaking out. That's why it's important. That's why I'm spending more time on this. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, not financial advice. I could be wrong. Always know that. This is my opinion. This is what I think. This is what I believe. This is how I'm positioning myself, and we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, we just have to play the cards we're dealt and hope for the best, right? But understand the risk as well. But anyways, Brad Garlinghouse, he said 5 trillion by the end of the year. That's a big number. We're sitting at about $2.3 trillion right now. So that means we would have to double the size of the crypto market in the next 90 days. That would be a pretty challenging task, but not unheard of, right? And if that's the case, we could see XRP near the all-time highs, right? So one of my predictions that I made was XRP getting back near the all-time high by the end of the year. Now, we're still a long ways away, but we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, that'll do it for this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.